A 23-year-old marketing professional in Bengaluru recently tried to buy a rupees 3,000 ticket to a Diljit Dosanjh concert. But the ticket sold out in minutes. However, without thinking twice, she booked a rupees 15,000 VIP ticket using her credit card. That's nearly as much as her monthly rent. She admits she wants to be more careful with the money, but if you look at her Instagram, it is covered in styled pictures, expensive sunglasses, branded outfits, and frequent trips. In fact, this year alone, she has paid late fees on her credit card twice. Her story might sound extreme, but it's not rare. It's part of a growing occurrence where many Indians are spending more than they earn. According to a recent RBI survey, almost half of the respondents came across a situation in the past 12 months where their income did not cover their living expenses. Such instances keep surfacing because the majority of Indians don't know how to manage money. According to the National Center for Financial Education, NCFE, India continues to face a significant financial literacy gap, with only 27% of Indian adults financially literate despite a general literacy rate of 77%. That means if you're sitting in a room with 10 people, chances are only 2 or 3 of them know how to budget, invest, or make smart financial decisions. The rest are just figuring it out as they go. This is much lower than the 43% financial literacy in Japan and 57% in the US. But the issue in the first place was never that the tools weren't there. It's that people didn't know how to use them. But how big is this problem really? And why is it happening? And what can we do to solve it? That's what we'll talk about in this video. The OYO founder is absolutely correct
कि finance education जो है ये शायद स्कूल में बचपन से बतानी चाहिए.
Recently, a CA on LinkedIn put up a post. In the post, he said that in schools, we are taught about the GDP, but not how to budget our own income in life. One of the main reasons behind this is that there have been no classroom level interventions in schools. Children are not taught how to manage money at an early age. Even the concept of money is taught much later. As a result, most people step into adulthood without knowing how to handle money in the real world. People usually learn money by mistake, not by design. But the problem is that the overall quality of education itself in India isn't all that great. According to the ACER survey, 74% of grade 3 students in rural India could not do basic subtraction. So while India's Gen Z accounts for 43% of India's consumer spending, many are growing up without the essential skills needed to manage money and build financial security. The second reason is that we just don't speak about money openly, even at home. You see, in Indian society, there exists something called the money taboo. This idea actually comes from the British society where talking about money was seen as rude or bad manners. Even today, different people avoid money talks for different reasons. Rich families often stay quiet about their wealth so they don't feel guilty or show off. On the other hand, middle-class families avoid these conversations because they don't want others to see their financial struggles. They want to protect the image of being self-reliant and stable. But this social stigma still exists in families even now. What is the result? The elders don't speak about money, the young ones don't get to hear about money, which then prevents them from asking about it. And the cycle continues. The third reason is that most Indians don't really have a lot of money at their disposal. Today, India is the 5th largest economy in the world, and India will be the 3rd largest economy soon. Yes, but most Indians still don't earn that much. In fact, 60% of the population makes about only 300 rupees per day. As a reason, families cannot really afford to give their kids pocket money, through which they can learn to handle and save money early in life. But how can things be changed for the better? In 2015, the Nobel Foundation NGO initiated a project. The NGO ran makeshift schools for slum children in Ludhiana from class 1 to 5. The project was called the Piggy Bank Project. The goal was to teach children to save small amounts of money regularly so they could become self-reliant and support their higher education in the future. At first, very few citizens took part. But during the 2020 COVID lockdown, when many laborers lost their jobs, families were able to survive using the money their children had saved through this project. This showed the importance of saving money, and after that, families began actively encouraging their children to save. Children started saving the pocket money they received, amounts as small as rupees 5 or rupees 10, in earthen piggy banks provided by the schools. If relatives gave money to children, parents would make sure it went into the piggy bank. These piggy banks were kept safely by the teachers, each with a name slip. Then twice a year, the teachers would break open the piggy banks and deposit the money into the children's bank accounts, which were opened after the lockdown. As part of the projects, children who saved money were rewarded with 5 extra marks in exams. The students who saved the most were also given gifts. Some students managed to save up to rupees 12,000 per year for a kid. Today, the project includes at least 2,000 children from slum areas. It has helped many become more responsible and independent. For instance, 12-year-old Vandana now dreams of becoming a doctor, while 13-year-old Rakhi wants to become a police officer. Both of them plan to use their saving for their studies. This is a very good example of what early financial literacy can do. You see, financial literacy at school doesn't need an extraordinary setup. In fact, global research has shown that classroom teaching, digital tools, and peer-based community learning can help young people gain the confidence and skills they need to make smart financial choices. The World Economic Forum even highlights the gamified learning platforms which use games to teach, and they are especially effective at keeping students engaged and helping them make decisions in a fun, interactive way. A good example of this is Project Nivesh, started by the Global Shapers Gurugram Hub. The program uses storytelling, digital tools, and fun activities to help children understand how to manage money. The project has already shown clear results. For instance, before the program began, most students either split their money 50-50 between saving or spending, or spent it all on wants. But after the intervention, 75% of students adopted a structured method like the 50-30-20 rule, which 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% to savings. This shows a big shift in how many students manage their money. When asked what they would save for, 50% of students said education, while 17% chose goals like personal wants, future plans, or emergencies. It also encouraged more students to talk about savings with their parents frequently. But nothing of this will work if we as citizens aren't open enough to talking about money. See, we may bring in innumerable interventions and campaigns, but none of them will have any positive impact if we don't encourage the talks of money in our families. For instance, in any regular Indian household, we've always heard our elders telling us to put our savings in FDs. But there are many other good and better options that they are not aware of, like JAR. Speaking of financial fitness, JAR is the perfect first step to build a saving habit. You can save from as low as 10 rupees every day, and you can save in 24-karat digital gold. So what are you waiting for? Download JAR now. Hence, the mindset itself needs to change, which can then encourage money talks better. To sum it up, teaching financial literacy to young people in India is very important to their mental health and overall well-being. You see, when young people learn to manage money, they feel less stressed and anxious about their finances. Financially literate youth are more likely to make smart decisions, stay away from debt traps, and build a sense of financial security. This security helps reduce worry and gives them more control over their future. By starting strong financial education programs and activities, we can raise a generation that is not just good with money, but also mentally strong and emotionally stable. Mahatma Gandhi had said, "Whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it." Similarly, when it comes to money, even small steps in financial education can make a meaningful difference in youth empowerment and well-being. Thank you for watching. Stay financially lit.